Hello, my name is Dean Cartover, and this is The Current Buzz. Thank you for watching today. Today we have Christopher Brennan. He's from the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce. He's the membership coordinator.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
And we have him on, and we're going to talk about the Chamber of Commerce, what they do in Greater Lowell. I don't know that much about it, so I'm sure that most of the people watching today don't know that much about it. And he's going to explain what the Chamber of Commerce does. Chamber of Commerce is made up of towns in the Greater Lowell area, right?
Correct.
Give me explain how many towns are in.
Our primary service area, Dean, is 7 cities and towns.
Okay.
So we have Barica, Chelmsford, Dracut, Lowell, Tewksbury, Tingsboro, and Westford.
Okay, and that's all the communities that the Current Buzz is in, so we could talk in Greater.
Oh, very good.
Yeah, we could talk about Greater Lowell.
We mesh well as Greater Lowell.
Yeah.
And just briefly there, and you can, I'd get into more detail about it, but because people are big on data, like they have statistics and so forth nowadays. 86% of our members, the business members and nonprofit members, educational, are from those 7 cities and towns, 86%. And then 14% are outside, from other cities and towns. So we might have somebody from Littleton or Bedford or Groton. Okay. And there's a trend there, which I'm really pleased with as membership coordinator. Companies outside the region want to join the chamber to do business in Greater Lowell.
Oh, wow.
Because Greater Lowell is hot. It's a good area. You know, the Massachusetts economy is good in general,
right,
but Greater Lowell is particularly good. There's other chambers of commerce across the whole state, so right, I don't go into other regions necessarily, right, to solicit those companies. But if a company will contact us from in that surrounding area, we'll take them in. But that was impressive to me, that people are coming in. Or there's another factor where they might have a headquarters. So a human service organization might have a headquarters in Lawrence, but they do business in Lowell.
Okay.
So we have those groups as well. But our primary emphasis is those 7 cities and towns.
When you say hot, tell me what you mean by hot, that they want to come into the Greater Lowell Chamber of Commerce. The word hot, it means things are boiling.
They're seeing economically, they're seeing the vibrancy of the business-to-business networking. So it's a business selling to another business, some supplies or whatever they have. And then also what I've learned this new term recently that I wasn't as familiar with, B2C, business to consumer.
B2C,
so there's B2B, business to business, but there's also business to consumer. So people feel like there's a market there for their products to come in. I had a bank recently, and the gentleman's based in Framingham, and they joined because they wanted to. They're not even ready to expand necessarily.
Someday they will, though, probably.
But someday they will.
Okay.
But they also want to have their mortgages out there. They want to have the commercial banking out there. So that's where I use the term hot, but Lowell is seen as a good area.
Oh, okay. How was Chelmsford seen seeing that the show originates from Chelmsford? How will they treat you or businesses in Chelmsford?
Wonderful. And I talked to you briefly about this before. We had the show planned specifically, but there's a lot of cooperation with the town. I try to work as membership coordinator. We do a lot of coordination. So we coordinate a lot, Dean, with the community development or economic development staff in the town or the city, because they're the ones dealing with the business community. So I know you've met her, and I think you've interviewed her too. There's a new director of business development, Lisa Moroney, in Chelmsford, and she and I work very well together. We started about the same time. I've been there over a little over a year after my career at Middlesex Community College, and I'm very impressed with the town leadership. Paul Cohen as the town manager. So we have a very good working relationship with the town. We'll do a couple of things. Actually met you at a ribbon cutting. We had a ribbon cutting there. We got a lunch, nice Mexican lunch that day. But I'll go out with them with the ribbon cuttings and see if a company might be interested, a business, in being part of the chamber. And we also do joint visits there with Lisa and with the town. They're wonderful.
So recently, Friendly's closed in Chelmsford. Do you know if anybody's moving in there? I want the inside information.
I don't. The town people would have more of that knowledge as they look at the permitting and that. I see some good growth in Chelmsford, though.
In what way?
With the emphasis there, and it's just starting. Actually, it's a plan more than a growth. But that whole emphasis on Route 129 is impressive to me. That they have it planned away, and I don't understand all these town terminologies, but it's a so-called overlay district. And the way I see it as a generalist is, it seems to give them more flexibility to locate different businesses there. And they want to do that, live, work, and play environment that a lot of the cities have now, where people can go to the restaurant, people can have a drink somewhere, they can work there, they can get there by transportation. So I see a lot of growth, not just for the town of Chelmsford, but for our chamber along 129. You've seen DCU has moved in there with a big operations center.
DCU is everywhere.
It's big. We have the retail group as a member, the local banks in our membership, and I need to work and get closer to DCU over there. Another group that we just brought in is Sterling Office Systems. They move a lot of the office equipment and that out there in the private sector and the public sector, so they just joined as a member. And I got that connection with Sterling through Lisa, through the town. So we try to work together, and I try to talk to her about other things that are out there. We also have the small companies. There's a group operation in Chelmsford, Artisans Exchange, which is a lot of arts and crafts and other things that they do there, and they just joined. It's a female-owned business, and they're exciting. So one thing I like about the chamber is the range of the small, medium, and large companies, where our umbrella is open to all sorts of companies.
Right. Does it hurt a town to ban plastic bags? I'm putting you on the spot, yes.
That is a controversial issue.
Yeah.
That's a very controversial issue.
Do you get feedback? I mean, do people call you up or?
We talked a little bit. I'll go sort of sideways. I don't avoid questions that well, but I'll go sideways a little bit and say that we met with a manufacturing company in Chelmsford recently. And,
I didn't realize that we had that big manufacturing company in Chelmsford.
And I was impressed that they were so much into recycling, and they were very conscious of the environment. And I don't think, I'm a capitalist. I believe in business there and the way it is, but I don't know if people give some of the companies in Massachusetts in particular enough credit that they're environmentally sound. But this company was very conscious of recycling everything at the level of the machines they were working on and making sure that everything was worthy in that area. The issue came up of the recycling of the bags.
Yeah.
And I just, and honestly, in terms of the chamber, this would be something our president and CEO would discuss, Daniel McFadden. We don't often take stances on political issues. We honestly don't. Some of the chambers do.
It was voted down. Plastic bags was voted down in Chelmsford.
You can make some friends that way, but you also can make some enemies by taking certain stances. So I don't have a particular stance, and we haven't taken a stance.
I didn't know.
No, it's a fair question.
I didn't know whether that hindered somebody coming into the town or not. In regards to business,
I don't know.
I think they're slowly turning things over in regards to businesses. I think in regards to plastic straws, and I know they banned that in Chelmsford, and I think it goes in effect in July or something like that.
And I like to see that there's a proactive approach on the part of the companies. I mean, myself, I'm a market basket shopper. I've been a market basket shop forever, and they're a member of the chamber, by the way.
You probably knew it as Demoulas when you were.
Demoulas, I did. Yeah. But I have my bags. I feel guilty sometimes if I don't have my blue bag with me to go into market basket and shop that way. And I'm getting the plastic bags.
Yeah, I like to put everything in one bag, and they put it in 2 bags. I have or something like that. But that's all right. What's the mission of the Chamber of Commerce?
The mission, we have 3 or 4 missions that we focus on. One is economic growth, regional economic growth. And so we try to have the employers, businesses work together so they can work, as I was mentioning earlier, business-to-business sales and business-to-consumer sales to foster economic growth. That's hard to put particular data to, but that cooperation is important. And one thing I like about Greater Lowell in particular, I've worked in other areas, I worked at the state level, and I'm proud of the Massachusetts, but there's cooperation from town to town. There's a certain amount of cooperation and within the town. So one of our missions is economic growth that we foster there. Secondly, it's to give some advantages to the businesses to grow their sales, to get more contacts. One thing we're particularly proud of is we have the public and the private sector. So we have a lot of nonprofit organizations.
Oh, you do? Okay.
From Lowell. So pretty much every...
That comes your
part
umbrella.
Of the chamber. People don't quite understand that part of it. So we have...
Like Make-A-Wish or something like that?
Make-A-Wish. We have the Community Teamwork Incorporated,
Oh,
which is a
okay.
very big nonprofit.
Yeah, right.
We have some ethnically oriented groups, Cambodian Mutual Assistance Association,
Okay.
Coalition for a Better Acre. So I would say, now this is a rough estimate, Dean, but I'd say 12 to 15% of our membership, maybe as close to 20%, are the nonprofits.
Okay.
But part of that mission is getting the nonprofits and the profit groups, businesses, to talk to each other. So I'll give you an example, a concrete example. Let's say a company has a volunteer program, and a lot of companies have these now, where they ask people to take something and do something with Habitat for Humanity,
Right.
or do some other kind of volunteerism, or do some kind of fundraising. Well, the way for them to come together is the Chamber of Commerce, to talk to each other. So that's part of our mission too, is to get the public and private sector to work together.
So do you have happy hours or things to get together or something like that?
Absolutely, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I think you have either a better understanding of the chamber than you think you do, or your instincts are good. So one of our key things, and we had one the other night in Lowell at the Outback Restaurant, is networking events.
So
that's
you
a key
can
part of our
invite you can
services.
invite me, and I can network these people and possibly get them on my show.
Exactly, exactly, and we'd be glad to do that.
Yeah.
And we have, the networking events are always at least 15 to 20 people, often as much as 60 to 70.
Oh, wow.
And so people will network with each other, they'll bring their business card and talk to each other. And this is getting into the details a little bit, but one thing we do after the networking event is we send out a list of all those people that were there. So if you come to that networking event, you get a list as a member of who was there with the phone number and the email, so you can follow up. Because I don't know if you remember that TV commercial with the speed talking, when the guy talks so fast.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
So you go to a networking event with 50 to 60 people, you don't want to be rude, you don't want to talk too fast
Yeah,
to people.
right.
So seriously, you
It's
might
like
talk.
dating.
You might talk to 5 to 7
It's
speed
like a
dating.
dating, speed dating. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
But seriously, that list goes out to people so they can follow up with those people afterward. Yeah.
Oh, that's
But one thing we emphasize with folks, because some people want immediate returns, is that it takes a while. You got to plant the seed.
Yeah, it does.
You build a relationship. I'm
Right.
sure you've done that. You build a relationship, and then it bears fruit later.
Well, let's give an example. When I met you, it took a while for you to get on with me, and because I have other people coming on the show too, and we have to fit the time and slot in, and I understand that. I mean, I like to interview some of the people, that go to these meetings, get-togethers, or whatever you call them, and talk to them and possibly get them on. But I probably couldn't get them on until September or October. It takes time.
And the other thing I see already, because we're connected by email and phone now and everything, is we'll have an ongoing relationship. So that's another part of networking.
Wow.
So we met that one time, and we have this wonderful opportunity for me today, but I'm sure we'll be in touch with each other.
Right.
If there's other key issues that you want to have discussed, or have our President and CEO, Danielle McFadden, come on.
Oh, I listened to her
We're
on
glad to do that.
WCAP.
She's on this
Right.
morning, actually.
Yeah, I heard her this morning coming
Yeah.
over. Yeah, and it was chamber
Chat.
Yeah,
So the networking is a key part of our aspect. If I could cover
I think that's a great
a few
idea.
other
though.
areas, Dean, because we have a broad range of services. So we do have 2 media outlets. We have the Chamber Chat, which is through WCAP, the local
once a week.
AM, once a week, every Thursday, 10 o'clock, and we have usually 3 guests there for that.
Right.
And they get the notoriety. And then we do have through cable TV, through Lowell Telecommunications, LTC,
Right.
we have a show once a month. And Danielle, a lot of multitasking in our organization, so she's the host for both of those.
And she has newborn children too.
She has 3 children.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and she's pretty young, right? I mean, she was took it over at 28 years old. That was 10 years ago?
Yeah, I was told a long time ago never to guess a woman's age.
Yeah, right.
Chuckle, but.
Well, I looked at the news report, and they had her age. And shame
A lot
on
of
them.
enthusiasm, a lot of vibrancy there.
Okay,
So
yeah.
that's other media opportunities for us that a member could have. And these things are included, in the fee. So we have a yearly membership dues.
Okay.
But being on the radio show, being on the TV show, the networking events, they're all included. We don't charge for much extra. If we have an out-of-pocket expense, we might have a town manager's breakfast. We might charge a small fee. But one of the things I market as membership coordinator is that we don't then charge you $25 for this, $50 for that, $35. Occasionally we do. But the networking events are hosted by a local company. So, for example,
Do they have food there? I'll be there.
They have food there.
I'll be there.
Food attracts me.
Yeah.
Food definitely attracts me.
I think it attracts any guy.
So we've used Office Link, which is the shared office space here on
Okay.
Route 129. It's a great place there.
right.
And there's shared space. So we've used that for some of our networking events. And the host of that will use their space will provide the food. They do a little bit of a 5 or 10 minute infomercial about what their service or product is
Right.
about. If it's at a company, they'll do a tour. But most of it is this networking.
How many members do you have right now? And what's the benefit of joining? That's what I'd like to know.
Yeah.
You know.
Almost 600 members that we have now, between 550 and 600. And
And still growing.
still growing. In terms of the data, it's about 240 in Lowell. So Lowell will probably always be our biggest there. But again, Chelmsford is really there, 85 to 90. Our second largest town that we draw from is Chelmsford.
Oh, okay.
And it's on the uptick. I've been there, I had 65 new members last year.
Wow.
And then we've already gotten this year, something's in the water somewhere, because we've already gotten over 35 this year, just since January 1st.
Wow.
But seriously, a good number of those are from Chelmsford there. The couple of towns I'd like to do more in, and we have cooperation there, Berwick and Tewksbury. I see more potential. I worked in Middlesex Community College for many years, over 30 years, so I
Right.
know the region, and I think we could have more of our own activity and do more with Berwick and Tewksbury in particular. Westford surprised me how much commercial development there is there. There's a lot. They seem to have good zoning guidelines there, but I thought of Westford strictly as a bedroom community.
Yeah, right.
But there's quite a bit of industry there as well.
Yeah.
And the other areas, Tingsboro, Drake-it, all of the areas that we could work with there are important. But in terms of the benefits, again, someone should put their own emphasis into it and go to the networking events and work our list. We have a good membership directory and do that. But the benefit really is meeting people to develop your business, or in the case of a nonprofit organization, a couple things. Meeting a business in order to help their fundraising or their volunteerism, which I
Right.
talked about earlier, but also to work with other nonprofits. So let's say, for example, I'm a nonprofit that deals with housing, and I have opportunities for housing. I can talk to your organization that's a nonprofit that's not in the housing field to get referrals of clients for me. We just signed up a dentist office, so they're joining. They want to get customers for their dentist office.
Oh, okay.
They have the ability to use...
Where are they located?
They're right in downtown Lowell.
Okay.
They're right in downtown Lowell, actually in our same building.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And the woman I met with her yesterday, she wants to make sure she can grow her population from people that will use Medicaid to pay for their dental services,
Right.
the elderly who will use some other service, or the private pay person. But she knows by talking to some of the nonprofits and the other groups part of the chamber that she can build her dental practice there.
right. That
It's her and
makes
her
sense.
husband that work together. Lawyers are there. In terms of type of industry, this might be interesting to you and to your listeners. The banks are very popular in what we do. The banks are very good.
They're building banks everywhere.
There's so-
Anywhere I go, there's a bank being built. I mean,
There's a
what's,
good
what's,
banks, yeah.
what's going on?
We have a great support. I mean, you're not supposed to have favorite members, but you have members that really do a lot for you, and
Right.
we love all our members. But Enterprise Bank, very, very supportive of what we do. Jean d'Arc Credit Union. We have sponsorships. One of the other ways we create a budget is through sponsorships. So we have sponsorships. So people will pay their membership dues, but there'll also be a sponsor. But two of our biggest sponsors, we're calling it Platinum Sponsor this year, Jean d'Arc Credit Union and Enterprise Bank.
Yeah.
And we also get a...
We have John Duck
know.
in Chelmsford.
You do?
Yeah, and Enterprise in Chelmsford.
I mean, I don't know him personally, but I know from working at Middlesex for so long, just all the reputation of Mr. Duncan, George Duncan,
Right.
and how community-oriented he is. We have Maria Labeo is on our board. She's our chairperson of our board.
What about Washington Savings Bank?
Washington Savings Bank's a member.
Is it?
Yeah. The
Yeah,
other
they're very
area
good
that's
bank.
big is the health area. The hospital, so Circle Health is a
Okay.
good sponsor of ours, and that's a new umbrella for Lowell General Hospital.
Right.
It's hard to keep track of some of these mergers and
Yeah,
acquisitions
exactly.
and that, but we have the Lowell General is very supportive of what we do, and there's a big growth because of the demographics and the good health care. There's a growth in assisted living, there's growth in nursing homes, so that's a big part of our membership too. The banks and the health care
The
area.
nursing homes too, also?
Nursing homes
Oh, yeah?
will join. Because again, they're trying to market their services.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
We have a guy, he's an individual person. The stories are all over the place. He connects people and their families with assisted living facilities. So that's a big challenge. My mother is 90 years old, and God bless her, she's in her own home now. But if you ever move in that direction, it's hard for a family and family members to make that choice. So his job is to try to connect the assisted living organizations with the family. He gets his revenue from the assisted living organization. They pay him. But I thought that was kind of interesting.
Oh, maybe I should have him on the show because a lot of people watch.
Yeah.
Jumps will watch the show.
He's almost a middle person between the two there.
that'd
So
be
those
interesting.
services are out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to talk to you about it after the show.
I'd be glad to expose you
Yeah.
to a number of our members
Yeah,
that might be
definitely.
interested in a particular
Yeah,
area.
I don't want to get overwhelmed with you know, the businesses. I have other people to talk to
Yeah.
too. You know, so it's interesting. Executive board, board of directors. What's
Yeah, the
how's that
governance,
meeting?
good
Yeah.
question. We have a 25-member board of directors,
25.
25 members, pretty
Wow.
good size.
Yeah.
So we try to represent the whole region with that area. It's not just Lowell, it's the whole region where we'll have members from various organizations. We had a woman from Lifelinks that was a member of the board from Chelmsford and other folks there. And then to make it more manageable.
Where do they decide? Where do they? What's their goal? I mean, mission.
They help us with planning. So we
Okay.
do some strategic planning. Every good organization now does
Right.
strategic planning, so they'll help us with that. There's a gentleman, he's actually a Chelmsford resident, Max Ward, who's a business coach, who's helped us with that. So they help us with strategic planning. They oversee Danielle's work, not in a micromanagement kind of way, but they oversee her work, and they're big supporters of us to try to get the word out. The other part of your question, we have an executive board of about 10 people. So that's more manageable. So the overall board of directors that has to get selected through a nomination process
Right.
meets 4 times a year. They meet quarterly, and then the executive board meets each month.
Okay.
And we have a chair and a vice chair. The chair, as I mentioned now, is from Enterprise Bank, and the vice chair is from the Merrimack Valley Food Bank, Debbie Calery. So Maria Labeo is the chair this year, and then
That's a well-known name
Debbie's
in
the vice
Lowell,
chair.
Calorie.
yeah, Debbie Calery is the assistant executive director of the Merrimack Valley Food Bank.
Okay.
And I like the continuity. My master's in public administration, so I worry about management.
Right.
And so the vice chair will then move up. So the chair is there, the vice chair will move up as the chair for the next year, and the chair will stay as past chair. So you have almost these 3 pillars there.
I see.
Of the past chair, the chair, and the vice chair, all working together. So this gives Danielle a way to coordinate with these folks there.
Now explain to me what distinguished young professionals means or what it does.
Very good. So we have a few offshoot groups there. So we try to serve all needs. So we have a women's group, WISE, W-I-S-E, that's part of our organization, Women in Business.
Okay.
But we also have young professionals. And so this is, we don't try to discriminate in any way. I'm being kind of a wise guy, but it's 40 and under. It's usually 40 and under.
Okay.
So it made me feel better when I first got there, where they said, oh, it's for young professionals or young at heart. I said, oh, I can go to that event. You know? But seriously, the young professionals are those 40 and under, and we have coming up in April an event, we have it every year actually, Young Professionals Awards. So we'll award about 15 awards to young professionals. I went last
So
year.
there's still a chance for me.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. We can recreate you
Yeah.
there. But we had an event at Tewksbury Country Club, and it's just wonderful. I just want to mention of this, Dean, just to see these young professionals, because there's some buzz out there that, oh, the millennials don't work hard and they're not focused. That's not fair. That's not fair at all.
Mm-hmm.
To see these young professionals get these awards, and they had their supervisors and their leaders there, and the diversity of the group was fantastic.
Yeah,
so
well,
that's the distinguished young professionals.
I don't have time, but I'd like to talk to about young professionals probably in the next show because time is of the essence.
And they have an advisory board themselves, so we
they
could have
do?
them come on. You
Yeah.
could have some of the young professionals come on
That
with
would
Danielle.
that would be interesting.
So we have WISE, we
And
have
I
the
know
young professionals.
Danielle would be on in a minute.
Yeah.
Real quick, you have an event at the hotel in September. What's that?
We have every year, in terms of, without giving specific dates
Yeah.
necessarily, we have some big events. Our annual meeting, usually in the fall. Coming up soon, we have Mardi Gras Bingo, so we do some fun things
Okay.
there. And the other thing I would highlight is that we have we're calling it Community Connections.